Hello, my name's Sue Lewis and I'm going to just talk you through some of the new features on Careerpilot for 2018-19. So as always, Careerpilot is a one-stop shop that's providing information for young people about all the choices available to them between 13 and 19. It's aimed at young people in the whole of the south of England. It's a free-to-access website. You can see from here that our homepage has changed slightly, and I'll tell you more about that as we go through. We have a lot of users every year, and we get very positive feedback about the site being useful to them. In the advisor zone, you can see feedback about Careerpilot if you want to know more, or if you want to present an argument about Careerpilot to your senior leadership team. It's free because it's funded by 20 universities and 6 NCOP projects across the south of England. Careerpilot can be at the centre of a careers programme because it's a suite of different things. We have the student site, the reporting zone so teachers can see the choices young people are interested in, an advisor zone where there's lesson plans and teaching materials, and a parent zone. Careerpilot maps to the Careers Statutory Guidance and also the Gatsby benchmarks. So if you're putting your Compass 2 kit together, don't forget to mention Careerpilot, and our Gatsby map will show you how you can mention that against each of the benchmarks. We're encouraging schools to use Careerpilot in a progressive way from year 7 to 13, and we've got activities that you could do with different year groups, just so it's very fresh for different people as they use it, and that the tasks are appropriate to the choices or decisions or exploration they need to be making at that particular time. These are accessible through the advisor zone, which is at the top of the homepage. As you might know, the student area has 2 parts, a lot of information about all the pathways available, but then the career tools. And the career tools is where the students can personalise their choices and choose the actual job sectors or qualifications they're interested in. And this is the bit that populates the reporting zone. So you need to get your students to register or sign in, complete the career tools to be able to see any information in the reporting zone. They can see a full report, including a snapshot of where they were on August the 31st if they've used it previously. Some of the highlights of the site: we've got information on job sectors, done quite a lot of work on the job sectors over the summer. Link to all the providers in the south of England. We've got different starting points. You can start with activities appropriate to your age or by searching your choices at a particular key stage. Got a qualification planner which will help students map the qualifications they're interested in doing later, or they could look at detailed information about a pathway they're already interested in. So for higher education 18+, it'll go to a set of subsections which has got all the information you'd expect to find there, but written in an easy to access way for young people. If you drill down to a section, I'm showing you apprenticeships here. Always you can bookmark, and we encourage students to do that so they can put the bits of the site they like in their career tools section. But always you'll find a summary of what you can learn if you read on, or you can click to the bit you're particularly interested in, or you can look at video stories. We've got over 1,000 videos now in the site. I know there's an issue in some schools if you block YouTube, but certainly there's plenty there for students to view when they're at home. So the job sectors, done a lot of work on the job sectors. We used to have 22 job sectors. Now we have 19, but they subdivided into 3. So essentially there's 57 subsections, and they link to hundreds of job profiles. So you could search for a job directly by typing in the top bar, or look by sector, or a new feature is where you can start with a subject, and we also have a new job sectors quiz. So the job sectors, as I said, divided into 3 now. So you can click specifically on the bit you're interested in, like animal, and then you'll see this landing page. What's it all about? And you'll find job profiles, getting in with specific links to apprenticeship vacancies to do with animal, or university courses to do with animal. We're trying to get kids to exactly the information they need if they've got a passion for that particular thing. It's also useful links to vacancy websites related to animal or the Sector Skills Council, etc. We've got lots of videos all mapped into our jobs and our job sectors. The careerometer is still there where students can compare jobs against each other. But the bit everybody loves is the job profiles. Last year, a user had to go to the National Career Service website at this point, but they've given us their data now, so they can actually stay within our site and view our job profiles. So and click on, they can bookmark it in time, as I mentioned. They can click on a job, animal care worker. It'll explain a bit about the salary and a little description of the job already, so they can look across multiple jobs at that point. Or they can see the full job profile. And if they carried on down the job profile, there's a lot of information. The top shows salary, working hours, whether the job's predicted to grow, what's it all about, entry requirements. Lots of video stories tied into that particular job. But also this bit, the pink bit, this is from National Career Service, what skills are required for this job. And alongside that now, you can actually see your skills map. So if the students have done either the pre or the post-16 skills map, they can begin to see how their skills map to the things required in that job. And they can add their own examples to beef up their skills map ready for applying later. Bookmarking is always the thing to do, because that means students can save their particular choices in their career tools, and it'll flash up with a choice whether they're just exploring it or they're definitely interested. It's always useful if you're offering guidance or support later to know how committed the students are to that particular thing. So if a student is registered, they've done the things I've just shown you on the job sectors, then in My Job Sectors, they'll have any sectors they've tagged, any jobs they've looked at, and if they've done our quiz, they'll have any sectors that are being suggested as possible ones to explore further. We've also got a new tool called Start with a Subject. This fits very nicely with our Gatsby benchmark about linking the curriculum to careers and job information. So if all your subject teachers once a year said, let's have a look at Careerpilot, by subject, they could pick art, for example, and find out a little bit about what art helps you develop in terms of skills, get some ideas about the sort of jobs and look at job profiles. That might be quite an interesting comparison thing to do. But also look at MOOCs. These are massive open online courses offered free by universities in thousands of topics. So what we've done here is map the ones that link with the subject of art if somebody wanted to beef up their knowledge or just explore things a bit more. Look great on a CV or personal statement. And our job sector quiz, 50 pictures of things you'd like to do in a job situation, and then the system will tell you which job sectors are likely to give you that opportunity. So we're not saying you should work in this sector, we're just saying these are the ones that seem to map with the things you're interested in, and they can explore that further then. We've had the pre and post 16 skills map for some time. It used to be called HE skills map. We've just changed that to post 16 skills map because HE put some young people off in college context, so we've just changed the title. And we've got another set of questions about your hobbies and the sort of skills you might develop from being committed to a particular hobby over time or whatever. So we've got questions about hobbies, experiences, skills and qualities and achievements. So for example, the first question here, I've committed to an out-of-school sport or activity for more than a year. Then in the results, we show them what they've said, but then actually try to show them what skills they probably used when they did that particular activity. And those skills are banked for them in the skills bank. So here are examples generated from the quiz, and they can add their own. And the idea is they keep going back and adding to it. And you can see how that now links to a particular job they might be interested in. So if they add an example, they'll have a whole bank of things that are from the quiz, but also things they've done themselves. And when they come to apply, they can indicate what they're applying for and what skills they mostly need to flag up. And we are looking at ways to actually put the job profile in here. So they'll be able to compare what they're thinking of flagging up against what the job profile is saying, the skills the students will need. Just a few other things you'll be aware of because we've had them for some time. The qualification planner, often a really good place to start when you're offering guidance, helping students think about where they are, what they might want to do next. Also find a provider. In the list view, you can tag any providers they're interested in. One thing to say is when they have tagged some qualifications, in My Qualifications, you can also then add subjects and grades. So you can add predicted grades, and then when they become year 12, they can actually change those to actual grades. Because the idea is this record, their Careerpilot record, moves up with them every year. So just a few new things. Some of these things have been there. We've just made them more obvious on the site. We are trying to encourage students to do particular activities in each year group that fit with kind of where they are. It might be about choosing options, or it might be about thinking about work experience, or choosing post-16 choices. So under Find Activities for Your Age, there will be activities the students can do, just 4 or 5, in Careerpilot that would be useful at that stage. And we are putting together presentations which include these activities that could be delivered by tutors. So there'll be an introduction and then a few activities for them to do. So every year is different but progressive. And we've actually got them for colleges as well. Okay, so these are the sort of examples, and all this is available through the Advisor Zone. So I mentioned that everything in the Career Tools leads towards a report. On August the 31st every year, that report will be saved as a snapshot. They can still keep working on it and changing their ideas, but we're keeping a snapshot so they can look back, or you can look back if you're working with them. So they can see the full report, which look a bit like this. And that moves up for them every year. And if they've got a previous report because they used Careerpilot last year and they've managed to get into their own record, that's what we want them to do, then they'll be able to see a snapshot. Okay, so they'll be able to see that every year. So if they started in year 7, they'd have quite a few of these to look back on. You will have heard of the reporting zone. We haven't made many changes there, but just to remind you that schools and colleges can provide for free access to the reporting zone by completing a data sharing agreement. You can then see which users have registered. You can sort them into tutor groups. You can look at reports by group or reports by individual user. So if you look at the group report, you could find out for year 11, there's 34 students showing there who've registered. You could choose to find out what job sectors they're interested in, what providers they begin to flag up. Okay, you'll see reports like this. This is the job sector report, useful for targeting particular employer talks, employer visits of particular students, and just check in really whether what they want to do fits what you know about them, so you can actually support them in their journey. And again, you could do for providers. And always through the reports, you can actually look at the full report of that student. You could download the data too and play with it. If you look at the report by the individual, so now you're drilling down to the level of the student, you can look at all that, but you can also add comments and see their snapshot at this point. Okay, so the snapshot for the previous year. So the advisor comments is where you can add a comment about the conversations you have with students. You might be an advisor, you might be a tutor, and that will appear here. And the students can view that too. So we talked a bit about students registering, signing in. If they're a previous Careerpilot user that's registered, they should sign in. What we want to try to do is avoid any duplicate records, so they do need to try to get back into their account, which I know can be an issue if they've forgotten their password or the email they used to set it up, and I'll just explain that to you in a minute. If they have never registered before, they can just register as normal, and sign in's there, and then there's the registration form if they're completely new. Whoops, so it's not very pretty, but I keep reiterating this. Previous registered students should sign in. Now, I know this is an issue because students will forget their passwords. We've also got issues because they put in a fake email address, not realizing how important Careerpilot is. So we've got a user guide to help you get students into the site, and that's available on our Advisor Zone under User Guides for Staff. So if a student is staying with you, so they still like to have the same email address, then this is what you can do. I'm not going to go through in detail now, but if you're a college or a sixth form, you might have new students in who have used Careerpilot previously, so there's slightly different instructions. But don't forget, we've always got our helpline, and the details are on this user guide, and I'll tell you them at the end. And James on our helpline will always try his best to help you. There are free things available, free staff training where we can come to a college or school and do a session with staff. It has to be in the Bath, Bristol area. It has to be about an hour from our base for it to be face-to-face. Otherwise, we can do a webinar for your whole staff team or a particular key phase. We can give you free promotional materials, one set for 1 year group per academic year. We've got stickers, cards, and posters. There's lots more free webinars coming up, and if you look at the Advisor Zone, you could see what's available. And you can apply for free access to Reporting Zone. All these things can be activated via the Advisor Zone. We're also trying to encourage schools and colleges to become super users, so we know that they're embedding the use of the site into their practice. You only have to do 4 things: request materials, which is quite easy, have a link to Careerpilot on your school or college website, have over 100 registered students each academic year, and have told parents in some way about the site. And there's ideas on this kind of circle above about how you can do each of those things. Particularly, there's actual newsletter items you can use for parents. There's emails that are already set up for you to use. And if you become a super user, very excited to get post up, you can also then show how you're mapping out to Career Statutory Guidance and Gatsby as well. And you can get 1 free set of materials too. Just to tell you that coming soon, the 6 NCOPs have co-funded a new tool on Careerpilot, which will be a course search. And I know there's things out like that, which uni, UCAS, whatever, but it can be quite confusing for young people. So what we're going to do is have a course search in Careerpilot where they can search for a college course or an apprenticeship or a degree course from within Careerpilot and tag the ones they're interested in and save them in their career tools. So this will be ready to pilot in November. We want to get user feedback, ready to launch it in probably December, January time. So just a few things to remember. There are those set activities for different year groups, and there will be presentations to you soon. Make sure students register or sign in if they've registered before. Make sure they put themselves in the right school year group, have their home postcode, and remember their password. That's really important. So I mentioned the helpline. This is the helpline address, and James is there from 9 till 3 every day in term time. So you can give him a ring or email him if you've got any issues at all or you want to request something. He's always there and he's a very helpful guy. So thank you so much for coming along for listening to this recording of our webinar, and do get in touch if you need any